Tradelines. Let me say that again. Tradelines. If that doesn't send a shiver down your spine, then you can't afford to miss this episode. This incredibly scary and dangerous practice, it's infiltrating our industry, and it has huge, huge consequences. Hundreds of thousands of people are faced with life-altering ramifications, and as a credit hero, you must know the truth so that you can educate and protect your business and your customers. In this episode, I am exposing buying trade lines for what they really are, and why you should never use them, and why they're one of the scariest things in the credit repair industry. So stick around. So the big question is this: how can we take our passion for helping people with their credit and turn it into a successful business without taking loans, without spending a fortune, by bootstrapping it from nothing, so we can help the most people and still become highly profitable? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name is Daniel Rosen, and welcome to Credit Repair Business Secrets. If you are not already spooked over trade lines, by the end of this episode, you are going to be haunted by them. The evil giant banks and the credit card companies, they have always wanted their cardholders to use the credit cards that they issue as much as possible for one reason: to take as much of your money as possible by charging you interest and fees. So their dream customer is the person who's always drowning in forever debt. And because of that, they often give a 2-for-1 option, allowing the primary cardholder a way to open authorized user accounts. Now, these are meant to be limited to family members and close friends, because whoever the account holder allows to be on the card, that person can use the full line of credit, leaving the responsibility to pay down the debt to fall on the shoulders of the primary account holder. So here's why this is important. Once those authorized account holders began noticing that they were inheriting all the years of positive on-time payments, and they were seeing their scores get a hefty boost, it became a huge sensation called piggybacking. And suddenly, an entire niche inside the credit repair industry was born. But, as with any loophole, people will always find ways to exploit it. And boy, did they ever. Entrepreneurs began building entire networks of people who were willing to rent out user spots on their credit cards, and they would rent them to complete strangers as authorized users. And they charged a huge fee to do this, okay? Some credit card companies used to allow as many as 50 authorized users on a single card. And all of those authorized users, they'd quickly get a big boost to their score, because the scoring models would be tricked into calculating all of the aged positive credit that belonged to the primary account holder. And it would attribute that to the authorized user. Plus, if the account had a balance and a low limit, it could drastically reduce the piggybacker's utilization, which would then increase their scores even more. Now, keep in mind, that was years ago, okay? That was back in the good old days. But hear me when I say this. Times, they have changed, okay? A few years ago, the banks and the lenders began noticing technically unqualified buyers would suddenly be qualified for major purchases that they otherwise would not have been approved for. And as you can imagine, that meant they started seeing an unusually high number of defaulted loans because of this. It became an unfair advantage. And the credit scoring companies like FICO and the others, they made changes to how the authorized user accounts would impact credit scores. Now, once those changes happened, it should have put all those trade line brokers out of business, but many actually still operate today. So here's what you need to know. Any credit repair business or brokers who are still selling trade lines are taking on huge risk and operating illegally and unethically. The fact is, not only are purchasing trade lines not effective anymore, but they can land you in jail. Most lenders now consider it fraudulent to submit an application if your credit report shows accounts that don't belong to you. And in many cases, mortgage lenders consider it mortgage fraud. Okay? They consider using these trade lines mortgage fraud, and that is a federal offense. Okay? People go to jail for federal offenses. But there are ways that are ethical and valid to help your customers. And this is called piggybacking. Now, there's a huge difference between purchasing a spot on a stranger's credit card versus piggybacking on a family member or a spouse's credit card, okay? So buying your way onto a stranger's credit card so that you can qualify a loan may be considered fraud, but if your immediate family member or spouse adds you, it's not. It's also important to know that buying a trade line from a company or a stranger not only opens you up to legal consequences or even going to jail for fraud, but it doesn't even help. See, the changes they made no longer give you the ability to inherit the payment history or to reduce your utilization. But if your immediate family member or spouse adds you, then it does. So here are a few tips that you should be aware of if you are either planning on piggybacking your spouse or an immediate family member. Some banks, lenders, and institutions may automatically remove any authorized user accounts from you or your client's credit report at the time of application. And they do this because they want to see your true score based on your true account history without the authorized user account. Okay? The only way that you can assure the account that your client is piggybacking will actually be taken into consideration is for it to become a joint account holder. Okay? Authorized users, they have zero responsibility to pay. Okay? If the primary user on the account doesn't pay his bill, the authorized user can simply demand that the account be removed from his or her credit report along with the missed payments or any other negative information that may have taken place. Whereas on the flip side of that, joint account holders, they have equal responsibility to pay the money back. Okay, to pay back any borrowed money, okay? And they cannot be removed from the card. They have a permanent obligation to pay. So even if the primary cardholder files for bankruptcy and you are the joint account holder, you can still be held accountable. That's why it's very, very important that you only do this with people that you truly know and trust. So if you want to keep yourself and your clients out of jail for fraud, and if you want to get ethical and legal results, stay away from trade line dealers, okay? It's just not worth it. People do go to jail. So instead, educate your clients on how they can piggyback on a family member's card or their spouse's card as an authorized user or joint account holder, okay? It will help and not harm their life and their credit, Okay, one of the really good guys in our industry is Jose Rodriguez. Okay, and Jose, he began his credit repair journey when he was trying to get his finances back on track after he left the Marine Corps. Okay, after he left the Marines, he started learning about credit. He began helping his family and his friends to fix their credit. And now Jose runs a multi-million-dollar credit repair company. And he runs it from his home. Now, at our past Credit Repair Expo, I asked Jose about the practice of buying and selling Tradelines. And he said to me this. He said, if you are considering purchasing Tradelines for your clients, you got to ask yourself, is it ethical, legal, and moral? In Jose's opinion, Tradelines, they are a thing of the past, and they are a gray area in business ethics. So if our millionaires don't need them and they're running seven-figure businesses, then you don't need them either. And if you're thinking about starting or launching a credit repair business, but you're unsure what to do and even what not to do, how about if I give you hyper-focused attention and I hold you by the hand while you launch and scale your very own credit repair business in just a couple weeks? Would you like that? Well, then I would invite you to join the next Credit Hero Challenge because it's starting in just a couple days. And if you're finding value in the things that I'm sharing on this podcast, click below to subscribe, okay? I don't want you to miss any episodes. And if you're feeling kind, rate me and give me a review because this is a new podcast and I can use all the help I can get. And if you have a comment or a question, leave it below and I'll answer it. And I will see you on the next episode. So until then, keep changing lives. Want more credit repair business secrets? Then get a copy of my book, The Ultimate Guide to Starting a Credit Repair Business. Get it free at creditrepaircloud.com/free book. Inside this book, you'll find my top 35 secrets to removing items from credit reports and turning that into an amazing business that helps people, changes lives, and makes you a great living in the process. Get it free at creditrepaircloud.com/free book.